Portland, Oregon, the city of roses. Come for the trailblazers and hipster coffee shops, and stay because federal agents in unmarked vehicles have unlawfully detained you. I know most mainstream media has all but forgotten about the constant protests happening all across the country because they're peaceful, at least on the protester side. But residents of Portland have been at it for the past 6 weeks, dealing with aggressive local police, and now, for the past few days, federal agents in camouflage and body armor carrying rifles but no identification who are snatching people up off the streets and tossing them in unmarked, non-government rental cars, then taking them fucking wherever. I don't think that's what they meant when they said, keep Portland weird.
How are we supposed to know who you are? How are we supposed to know you're not kidnapping us and you're civilians kidnapping us?
Customs and Border Patrol has already admitted that its agents are responsible for some of these detentions. So that means immigration enforcement agents have been unleashed on U.S. citizens inside the U.S. Homeland Security is attacking the homeland. The acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, because of course his fucking name is Chad, had a little photo op in the city the other day, and he said Portland is under siege by a violent mob. These fucking coward wannabe generals wanna be at war so fucking bad. They don't see protesters as U.S. citizens expressing their rights. No, they're violent criminals. They're the enemy, and they need to be beaten. Chad justified this fucking aggressive response by citing a list of crimes that occurred in Portland. So what were these horrific crimes? Well, according to Homeland Security, violent anarchists graffitied buildings. That's what this is all about. Fucking graffiti. Chad went around town pointing out all the graffiti like he was some maniacal Principal Skinner looking to murder Bart Simpson.
Whoever did this is in very deep trouble.
These federal agents aren't even talking to, let alone working with, the local authorities. The mayor says we don't want them here. The governor says they should leave. Where are all the states' rights people at, by the way? But see, Portland is the perfect testing ground for Trump's brown shirts to terrorize protesters. It's not such a major city as New York or LA, so most people never really hear about what's happening there. Unless Dame Lillard is hitting another buzzer beater, and even then, most of the country's asleep at the time, so we don't hear about it until the next day. Portland has restricted the use of tear gas and less lethal rounds by their police, but that doesn't apply to federal agents. And when federal agents make an arrest, it's usually a felony, which means it's a lot harder for protesters to get bailed out. And this is the end game of all that screaming about Antifa and the federal government trying to classify Antifa as terrorists. If Antifa, loosely associated individuals with no leader or real organization, can be classified as terrorists, and protesters can be labeled Antifa, well then all protesters can be labeled terrorists, and then they could be arrested without probable cause and detained indefinitely. Remember Gitmo? Yeah, Antifa is just the new version of radical Islamist. There are still people locked up in Gitmo labeled suspected terrorist who have never been charged with any crime. We didn't close Gitmo, we brought it home.
Get up, get up, get up. Get up. Get up, get up, get up. Get up, get up, get up.
Ultimately, this is all a way for Bill Barr and Donald Trump to look tough and say they're shutting down these riots in these Democrat-led cities. Law and order! Except, of course, it's the shadowy, sketchy federal agents who are escalating the violence. They shot a peaceful protester in the face with non-lethal rounds and fractured his skull. They break the law so it can look like they're maintaining order. Makes for great campaign materials and a great distraction from the fact that 140,000 Americans have now died from government malfeasance. But you can't beat up and arrest a virus, so COVID is free to roam the country. But if you protest police brutality and racism, I hope you brought a toothbrush, because you might not make it home for a while.